Hey everybody, welcome to Workforce Gaming. I'm Brad, here with Doug.
Hey.
Doug, just finally now, after a couple years, got around to playing The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. The
Yeah.
the recent hit game from the Nintendo company.
Yes.
Um, I think this is one of those games that everybody gets around to at some point, whether it
Mhm.
was 64, GameCube, Virtual Console, 3DS, or now on the Switch. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think most of us have a history with it, but you had like none. Like not even I don't even feel like you had like a
No.
like, oh, I played it for like an hour at my friend's house when I was a kid. Like you didn't have that, did you?
I think I had I rented it with a friend, and it was so weird. Like we didn't understand like Z target. I just remember
Oh
getting a
yeah.
bad time. Like I think we played like 10 minutes of it. It's like, what is this game? We couldn't jump around like Mario. It's like, what is this trash? And then stopped it. But I do remember like when I was a kid, like so you had PlayStations. Kids had either a PlayStation and 64. So people are talking about like Final Fantasy VII at that time, and then the other big topic was like Ocarina of Time, and people would bring their strategy games and talk about it.
Yeah.
So it's always in the conversation. Obviously, like now, where it's like, oh, it's the best game ever, blah 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 blah, and I was like, okay. And then, so basically, what happened was that Switch thing came out
Yep.
with the N64 games. I was like, okay, this might be a good time to at least play it. And I think I played about an hour of that version, and I was like, oh, I actually really really enjoy this.
Yep.
And then I remember there's a 3DS remake, and I was like, I'm really enjoying this. I want to play the version that people thought there were issues with it, and then play that like fixed version.
Yep.
Um, so I went out, I bought a 3DS, I bought a lot of games for it, including Majora's Mask, which I'll definitely. I'm so excited to get into Majora's Mask
I've
now.
never
Like
touched that one. That's one of the few Zeldas I've
yeah,
never even touched.
I'm so excited to play it. And basically, like, what it was, I think after playing Ocarina of Time, it was like it feels so stupid, but it's one of my favorite games I've ever played. Like
I mean,
it feels dumb saying that because I hate when it's like the top 10 games of all time and it's like everybody has the same list. It's like the exact same freaking
yep.
list, and Ocarina is always on it, and I don't give a shit. And like what's like I played Metal Gear Solid, I was like that was fine. So maybe it's about as good as Metal Gear Solid, which I thought was great. But I was like, this is just I think the reason I really liked it, I'm not sure is like the same reasons other people really liked it. I liked it because it felt like a lot of the mechanics in it I just haven't seen in other games before. I've played Wind Waker, I've played Twilight Princess, and my impression of both of those was I did not enjoy them very much. I did like Wind Waker a little bit. Twilight Princess, I hated. That's my only impression. I played like 20 hours of Twilight Princess and had a miserable time the entire time. Played Breath of the Wild, wasn't a fan. um, but I think there's just something
Hot
about this
takes
that is
here.
just yeah, hot takes. Doug, Doug does not like Zelda, which is it's fine. So that's why I kind of went expecting not to like this game because I only
Yeah.
kind of
So
didn't like those other ones. Yeah,
because that's where my question comes from. Because obviously there are common threads throughout all of the Legend of Zelda games, and
yeah,
each generation has their slightly different tweaks and takes on it. Whether you're in the 64 era, the GameCube,
hmm
the Wii, and then obviously with Breath of the Wild, and even before that, back in like the originals. So what about Ocarina of Time is doing it for you, other that those other ones didn't? Like
I
what are
like.
those mechanics? What are these things that are so great about it?
I think the thing I really like is I like the size of it. I think it's such a nice size.
Yeah.
It's it is not too big at all. It is just the perfect bigness of the game, and I don't know how to describe that. What the perfect bigness of a game is in my head. You can. I think the thing that's really neat about it, like I'll say some just quick examples, is I like when there is a rumor in the town next door, and I don't feel like it's going to be a chore. I'm like, I can talk to the four people in that town and figure out what this rumor
Yeah.
is. It's like, you need to get to the Death Mountain or wherever I need to go. And it's like, okay, there's the area is small enough that I just need to be told to get there and I can figure out what I need to do
Yeah.
next. And I think that just kind of goes along with the territory of it not being so big. Like I just feel like games right now, and I'm not even saying Assassin's Creed. I'm just saying games in general. They just have a lot of mechanics.
We all are thinking Assassin's Creed, and you're thinking
I
Assassin's
know.
Creed.
It's like games are too big, and Assassin's Creed it tells it X Y Z. It's like, which I do a lot, but um, I just think like even games that aren't that big, they have like a lot of mechanics, so they just need to explain a lot of things. Like
Yep.
it's just confusing. But this one just go to this area and you can kind of figure it out. And I really, really like that. And I felt like there was just barely enough hints for me to at least know the direction I need to go next, which I really, really enjoyed. I also found the game really surprising for a few things. I thought the story was kind of surprising. I knew that in Ocarina of Time that you turn into an older version of yourself.
Yeah.
But there was like character stuff I just like didn't know about. I just like meeting characters who were kind of quirky. Sort of that time skip was kind of harrowing and very kind of creepy, which I wasn't expecting. I think the game does a really good job of pretending like your first mission before you turn into an adult is the mission of the game. It's like you must go across the thing and pick up these 3 things, and then you bring the 3 things. Like actually, you need to pick up 6 things, and the whole world has gone to shit. It's like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's kind of like that. That's kind of neat. Yeah, I like where we're going with this. So it just felt like I was constantly being surprised. And it was kind of neat. It was neat realizing how little I knew about it.
Yeah.
I think you can kind of like glean stuff. Like there's just some games that are just like, people just talk about them so much. Like, but it's funny. I feel like with Ocarina of Time, everybody talks about the game like you've already played it. Like
Water that is
Temple,
true.
Boy, that sucks. It's like, I don't know. Sure.
I do think it's one of those things that everybody just assumes is in like the collective conscience that like,
yes,
Ocarina of Time. When I say Water Temple, what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, when we say, oh yeah, like the ocarina and the music, you understand like how that music plays into the game. Like you just, it's called Ocarina of Time. You know how that plays in there. We've all been there. We've all done that.
And I feel like that ocarina that's a really good point. That ocarina mechanic is so freaking cool.
Oh yeah.
It's like, I guess the way of describing it, I would say describing it is like, like you have like a key ring that's full of keys. And like you're not quite sure which key. You have kind of like a general idea. It's like, I think this key goes in this door, and that's what the ocarina is. It's like you have this list of like 9, or I think by the end, how many songs do you have? Like 16 songs or something. You get 8 songs. I don't know, you get a lot of songs, but then you haven't played it since you were like 10, I guess.
I played the first like 3 hours when it came back out on Switch like a couple months ago. But otherwise it's been since 64. That's what everybody's.
I feel like a madman talking about this game. It's like, it's so good, guys.
It's 2022. Oh my gosh,
it's so good. It's like, oh, The Godfather. It's such a good movie. Corleones.
Did you know that Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker?
That's probably what it's closer to.
It probably is, because like you just know, like, Luke, I'm your father. You know exactly what people are talking about. Like Water Temple, you know exactly what people are talking about. Like, oh man, like you it's just that collective conscience that everybody just assumes people know, but there are some of you.
But it's such a, like, I feel like I've never seen the ocarina mechanic. So how the ocarina mechanic works, it sounds so stupid. But the way I describe it is like I was saying, it's like a key ring with a bunch of keys, and then you have to know which key goes into which lock and which door. And I just really love you have to play the ocarina. It wasn't just like, you pick this key. It's like, no, you have to play a little song to do it.
Yeah.
And it's not like, even when you have like the list of songs, it just tells you what notes to play, but you got to play those notes. And the thing that I like that's really neat, you're not required to play the song like it's supposed to, but you just can. Like you can hold that note and you can do that like little do like, or whatever you need to do. You can play it how you want. It doesn't matter. And like, it's fun that just gives you like that little bit of room to play the ocarina how you want. And I was like, I just, to me, it's just so brilliant. And it's a cool mechanic. I was like, why has nobody used this mechanic before? Like giving you like a toolbox. And some of the other stuff I thought was really neat was the puzzles I thought were really clever. I know I've played other Zelda games and I don't know why I didn't get the same feeling. But I like that in Ocarina, you had a lot of tools at your disposal, and part of the puzzle is figuring out which tool to use for that puzzle. And then the puzzles themselves, they never felt like they repeated. It felt like a puzzle was maybe repeated twice mechanically. It was just really fun ways that they would play with your tools, kind of play with the world. And I just like that idea of like, it's not just a puzzle. It's like, oh, I need to push this block here. It's like, no, I need to figure out which item even applies this puzzle before I even start thinking about how this puzzle works. And I feel stupid and like saying it's like, I feel like there's no other game like this. Like, but people like, oh, the other Zeldas are just like us. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't feel like
I
these games
see.
are
I think
really
that's a
speaking to
reach
me the
because
way that.
like I said earlier, I do feel like you could say the Wii Zeldas are very similar.
Hmm.
The original Nintendo Zeldas are really similar.
Yeah,
I feel like they kind of go in like those chunks. Like the Zeldas kind of connected to each other really close together. I think those ones are similar, but I think like I don't think you could look at something like Skyward Sword just because that's the last one I played with
yeah,
the remaster this year. You couldn't say Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild. Oh yeah, those are basically the same game.
yeah,
They're
yeah, yeah.
wildly different things. Even Skyward Sword, Ocarina, even Wind Waker, Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, and the original.
Hmm.
There's like I said, there's common threads, but I think that's always been the nice thing that I've always liked about Zelda is that
Yeah,
you know the general idea of what you're getting, but it's
yeah.
going to do some things that surprise you in its mechanics and its tools and how you're going to approach things that don't always carry through and that are specific to that game, specific to what it's
Hmm.
doing at that time.
Yeah, I don't know why Ocarina compared to like other Zeldas like really ranked you. Actually, the other one I really like is the Nintendo one. Do like straight
Like just
Zelda
the
one.
Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, yeah. I really like that game a lot. I think one of the parts the aspects I really like about it that they kind of did in Ocarina is that the Nintendo one doesn't tell you where to go. You just kind of have to like sort of figure it out. And I
Killed me
felt
when I
with
was like 8
Ocarina,
years old.
sure,
It was the
yeah,
dumbest game I'd ever played when I was 8 years old. I remember
I don't.
my grandma had a Nintendo, and she had
That's
like
so funny.
Super Mario, Double Dragon, and Zelda, and I was like, oh my god, grandma's, yeah, Mario, yeah, Double Dragon. What the hell is this? I don't even know. Do I go up? Do I go? I think I just went in a circle. Let's play Double Dragon.
That's the correct response. I remember even playing it. Like, there's some stuff in there. I was like, how the hell would you ever figure this out? Like, you got to burn this one bush. It's like, but it felt like Ocarina had a little bit of that. Like,
Yeah,
how the hell? Like, I felt it made me feel like smart in stupid ways of just
I
like
think
not even just like bomb this wall. It's like I feel like I did this kind of in a clever way. There's sometimes like a puzzle you could not break them necessarily, but it's like it made you feel like maybe this was the right way to do it, but it worked.
yeah,
Which I know Breath of the Wild. That's like a big thing with Breath of the
yeah.
Wild. But I just liked how controlled and small Ocarina was compared to Breath of the Wild. Um, and I really, I don't know. I just really liked it. I also thought the characters were really fun and interesting. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of like fun little surprising things like, oh, you just need to go to this area and do this thing. You don't have no idea what that thing is. It's
Yeah,
like, okay, I'll just play this little song. It's like, oh my God. And suddenly the giant fish comes out of the water and eats me.
yeah.
There's a really cool scene where you get to this huge open lake for the first time. Um, and it's like just the biggest area in the game outside of like the Hyrule field. It's just this deep lake that's like I don't know 30 or 50, no, 50 feet deep and just really big. And it was just like really just it felt surprising and like
Mm-hmm.
how in the I don't know, this game is just good. It's really good. I just feel like there's nothing like it. I feel like I don't know why there isn't more Ocarina ripoffs. Um, Maybe they're just like because like even Darksiders or something. It's like it's kind of just a generic Zelda idea ripoff,
Yeah.
but there's something about Ocarina specifically of just like this like smaller, compact, just big enough world that I feel like I haven't seen
I mean,
anything. I haven't seen any other game do.
but I think that's the thing with a lot of games like that are just like that are special for just they're special, and
Hmm.
it's hard to emulate. It's hard to take something that is just special and go like, oh yeah, like why do people keep doing this? And it's like, no, there's something special about that. There's something special about the way it was made, about how it's made, about how it's doing things that just
Hmm.
it's hard to replicate. I mean, you could apply it to anything. Like people try to make Star Wars, but nothing's quite like Star Wars.
Yeah,
People tried to remake Lord of the Rings stuff, but nothing's quite like Lord of the Rings. Like
it
it's
kind of
just
feels like Metal Gear Solid. Like Metal
yeah,
Gear Solid's another one where it feels like nobody ever quite did this again.
nobody did that the same that original one did. There's
Yeah,
something special about how that felt, about how that worked, and you can remake. Yeah, you can go attack a base in Alaska and there's a giant robot. Like
yeah.
nothing super crazy in there, but there's something special about the way that game's put together, the way that game works, the way that all the parts are almost
Hmm.
perfectly tied together. And I think Ocarina has that same feeling of just everything you're doing is purposeful. Everything you're doing is the correct
Yeah,
size. It's the correct scale. It's the correct importance to the world. It's hard to emulate special, and I think that's where you get.
yeah.
I think we both love Darksiders.
Sure.
We both
Yeah,
do. That's good,
yeah.
great game, but it doesn't quite have that special feeling. Like it's just kind of like, okay,
Yeah.
like it's that trying to emulate something. I just feel like when you try to emulate something, you're going to feel like a lesser version of that, no matter how much heart, how
Yeah.
much soul, how much original creativity you have. If you're looking back and going, we're going to base it on this, it doesn't work out that often.
And I think there's something with just the constrainedness of it that you're just not held to anymore. That it's
That's
like
true.
if somebody was going to remake Ocarina of Time, there's just a lot of things you could add stuff instead of
Yeah.
it's just like you have the ability to add stuff wherever you want. I think there's just something about how constrained it is. And it's weird too. It's a long game. I was surprised how long it was.
What,
I was
like
like, I
20,
don't
30 hours?
maybe maybe a little short of that, but still it felt like I was surprised how long it was. I was surprised how like interested I was. And I just felt like I don't know how this game feels so big, but also completely. I'm ready to. I felt so comfortable, like checking every nook and corner of that world.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like these games, like they just can't help themselves,
Yeah.
but just be a little bigger, a little
I mean,
bigger
and
here, a
and
little bigger
and
there.
I think that's where, like you said, where you weren't feeling Breath of the Wild, but you're feeling this one is
Yeah,
Breath of the Wild has that, but Breath of the Wild does the 150, what were they called, tombs, caves, pyramid groups. I don't remember the things you had to go into.
yeah,
I can't remember the name of them. There's like 400 of them,
yeah.
and again, it takes away something from that special moment of finding the two or three because there are
Yes.
400. It's
Yeah.
I think Ocarina has that. Again, I'm going off of super old knowledge.
Sure. Yeah.
In
That's
my
fine.
mind,
Yeah.
has that I did everything the exact right amount of times. I
Yeah.
used
Yeah.
this item 6 times. Had I used it 7, I would have been bored. Had I used it
Yeah.
5, I would have wished I could
Yeah.
use it more. It did it
Yeah.
6. And I think that's, again,
Yeah.
it's that sweet spot that game just found on every single aspect of it.
It kept it just around long enough to matter. It felt like everything mattered.
Yep.
And then
Yeah.
it's a good game. I'm so excited for Majora's Mask. I had to stop myself. I had to stop myself from booting it up right away because I had it there. I was like, no. I want to savor Majora's Mask. And the thing I'm really curious about though is I've heard Majora's Mask is like totally different. So like it's even made me more curious. I'm like, I'm so curious what this Majora's Mask thing is. So I played some other games in between. Like I'm just like waiting to get to that next one. Very excited. And I feel like I'm like a Zelda fan, but like none of the other ones clicked with me. But it's just something about these that just
I'm trying to think. I feel like there's a couple of series I have like that where there's like one. It's like, this is my one. I don't like this series, but this one.
yeah.
Can't think
yeah.
of it. I know there's got to be some, but I just can't.
I like Assassin's Creed 1 a lot.
Nope.
I hate the rest of that series. I'm
Yep.
like nobody likes 1. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. I'm good.
2000
That's all I got.
2022. Ocarina of Time's great. Breaking news.
It's still great. It's still a good game. Absolutely.
We might be the first people to review Ocarina of Time in 2022. That might be a thing.
God.
Like that's like we're like the first people
That would be
24
so
years
funny.
later to review. Anyway,
It's been 11 days. It is January 11th. If somebody hasn't
document
reviewed
that.
Ocarina of Time in the last 11 days, and we are the first people to do it in 2022. We should call this video a 2020 review of Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
That's yep. Anyway, we are Workforce Gaming. You can follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us wherever you're listening, and we will see you later.
Bye.